Sant Mat. The objective of this module is to take the students to the religion of saints. That is, what it is, how did it evolve, what are the different periods in which it evolved, also the saints and their teachings in different periods. We also aim to bring to the students as to how the religion of saints has had its roots in India, its form and teachings today. संत में यार परघट है, इधर आओ यहाँ ढूंढो, तेरे दिल में छुपा बैठा, इधर आओ यहाँ ढूंढो. For centuries, the Indian subcontinent was submerged in a sea of superstition and Vedic Brahmanic rites, which later became a source of senseless rituals and a means for the Brahmins to fleece the ordinary man and thereby generate their own incomes. Since the actual meaning and rationale behind these rites and ceremonies got lost over the years. Centuries before the birth of Sant Kabir, a succession of Muslim invaders had attacked India. People were massacred, women and girls carried away, and cities razed to the ground. Non-Muslims were forced to convert to Islam, else pay the heavy tax called jizya. Later the Mongol Sultan attacked Delhi and created hardship for both Hindus and Muslims. The religious leaders, instead of giving solace to the frightened people, thrust them into more superstition and ritualism. The sants, in the form of Kabir Das, Tulsi Das and others, came to provide the much needed balm on the injured soul of the common man. The word sant in Hindi is believed to have developed from the word sat, meaning eternal or unspent. He santan sir taj kripala, he guru deen dayala, he samrath devan ke deva, he satguru pratipala, he santan sir taj kripala. In the Vedas, Sat means to speak of Brahma. In the Gita, all auspicious deeds done for the deliverance of the soul, such as yagna, dan and tap, were referred to as Sat, and freeing oneself from desires and hatred was the method of acquiring qualities of a saint. In Bharatwal's work on the origin and development of Nirgun Sant Sampradaya, the definition of Sant is he who has experienced the truth, who is calm and whose desires have been suppressed. The method adopted for sadhan by saints made the acquisition of spirituality and social achievements easier. The period of Bhakti Kal was also called Adi Kal. During the past 500 to 700 years, beginning with the advent of Sant Kabir, who is considered as the Adi Sant, founder of the Sant Mat tradition, there has been a succession of great saints whose teachings are uniform in nature and may collectively be called as the religion of saints. Kabir Sahab, Guru Nanak, Paltu Sahab, Jagjivan Sahab, Tulsi Sahab and Swamiji Maharaj are the saints in that tradition. Some of the Sufi saints like Shams Tabriz and Maulana Rumi are also included among them. These saints have spoken of higher regions of creation beyond Par Brahma Pad of the Vedic religion tradition. They are all Nirgun Bhakti saints, and they have all stressed on the importance of bhakti of a true guru. Saints have stressed on the importance of bhakti of a true guru, concentrating on and listening to the ever reverberating internal spiritual sounds via meditational practices, living an ethical and moral life, stressing the brotherhood of man, and attaining oneness with the Lord. Bhakti and Santmat. Saints compiled the knowledge of Vedanta with emotions and sentiments and took Brahm to the masses. The saints did not oppose the Muslim faith and based on Sufi philosophy promoted bhakti. Parashuram Chaturvedi has said that the saints took the principle of Advait from the Hindu darshan, the Karmavad, Janmantarvad and devotional worship from Vaishnavas, Shunyavad, non-violence and the middle path from Buddhism, monotheism and brotherhood of man from Islam, and the concept of love for the Lord from Sufis. They use this mixture to start a new panth or cult. Most of the saints were neither very educated nor had they read the epics. They symbolized the common man. They established a lok dharma and spoke mainly of their own religious experiences. Saints like Kabir Das, Surdas, Goswami Tulsidas, Tukaram, Namdev, Gyaneshwar and Mirabai were saints from North India. While Surdas, Tulsidas and Mirabai were Sagun Bhakti saints, Kabir, Tukaram, Namdev, Gyaneshwar, Dadu Dayal and many others were Nirgun Bhakti saints. The teachings of all saints are similar. They teach that this karta or doer resides within each person and in every void and soul. No place or being remains empty of the Lord's presence. It is just that He is unseen because Maya has covered all jivas and particles so firmly that the Atma has forgotten its creator and is immersed in sorrows. If the Atma does not make the effort to turn away from Maya, its sorrows and separation from the Lord can never be diminished. The saints warn the masses that Maya is man's greatest enemy and deceives man, sometimes in the form of an attractive maiden and sometimes as materialistic wealth. The manas or mind is man's second enemy. It is very powerful and restless and is able to move across miles in an instant. The mind is subtle and so it is difficult to conquer. It is frisky. One moment it is ready to renounce the world, the next egoistic, easily filled with pride, cunning and frivolous. Santmat and the Satguru. The mind has a tendency to flow outwards. However, the saints teach a method of controlling both Maya and Man. The method is to seek shelter in the feet of one's Satguru and to attach one's mind to the name or word as taught by the Satguru. The spiritual name resides within the Satguru at all times. So they are able to divert the mind and attention of their devotees and enjoin it with the name. When the devotee moves on the path taught by the Guru, he attains the state of meditation easily and is freed of the desires of the world. The company of saints has a profound effect on the devotee. Those who take shelter at their feet are saved from all doubts and worries. The purpose for which saints take birth is to free jivas from the entanglements of man and maya and to lead them towards union with Paramatma. The formless Paramatman assumes the form of the Sant Sadguru and comes into this world to deliver the jiva. They appear to be mere human beings, but are in fact undifferentiated from the Supreme Reality. They are the reservoirs and the giver of the name. Let us pray in the holy feet of Sant Sadguru to deliver us from the evils of man and maya. दया करो मेरे साईया, देव प्रेम की दात, दुख सुख कछु व्यापे नहीं, छूटे सब उत्पात. Early 10th century saints. Let us first focus on the Sagun Bhakti saints. The Sagun Bhakti saints worshipped God in some form or the other. For example, Mirabai worshipped Sri Krishna since her childhood. Sant Surdas was also a Sagun Bhakti saint who wrote immensely beautiful poetry in the love of Lord Krishna. Sant Tulsidas was another Sagun Bhakti saint who worshipped Lord Rama and wrote beautiful prose and poetry in his bhakti. Let us first talk about Sant Surdas. Sant Surdas, the poet with the inner sight, was an important saint of Bhakti movement, which sprouted in the 10th century and reformed the Hindu religion. He was a poet writing poems mainly on Lord Krishna. He is mainly believed to have been born in AD 1478 in a village called Sihi near Delhi, into a Brahmin family. Some intellectuals, however, consider his birthplace to be Runakta, a village close to Agra. He was born blind with an inborn love for Krishna. His work consists primarily of 3 major compilations: the Sur Saravali, the Sahitya Lahari, and the Sur Sagar. The Saravali was supposed to have 100,000 verses. It is based on the divine play of Krishna and the description of the divine holy festival played by Krishna with the gopis. It also describes Krishna as God incarnate and the actions of his life. The bhakti of Sant Surdas follows the Pushti Marg, or the path of grace, strength and affirmation. Surdas has given 2 forms of bhakti: Sadhan Roop and Sadhya Roop. In Sadhan Bhakti, the devotee has to make the endeavor, but in Sadhya Bhakti, the devotee surrenders everything to his Lord and seeks his refuge. In Sur's Bhakti, Anugrah is the main element. Sant Surdas has written on Prem Bhakti, which gives a glimpse of the feelings of despair when one is separated from the Lord. He has also written about Sakhya Bhakti, or feelings of brotherly love, which Krishna showed towards the gopis and gwalas. In Vatsalya Bhakti, love is the essence. Here, he illustrates the love of Yashoda for her child Krishna, as well as the love of the other gopis who would wait for Krishna to come and break their matkis. Let's now see and talk about Sant Goswami Tulsidas. The birth of Sant Goswami Tulsidas has been a controversial issue. However, autobiographical accounts state that Sant Tulsidas was born in 1532 AD in Rajapur, in Banda district of Uttar Pradesh. His father was a Saryuparin Brahmin named Atma Ram Dubey, while his mother's name was Hulsi. Tulsi Ram, as he was called in childhood, was born under very unfavorable stars, known as Abhukt Mool. He did not cry at birth and had all 32 teeth. So, his own parents abandoned him. Baba Narhari Das brought him up and educated him. In reverence, Sant Tulsidas has taken the name of his guru in the opening lines of Ramcharitmanas. Tulsidas wrote 12 books. The most famous book, which is now considered an epic, was his Ramayan Ramcharitmanas. It is said that he wrote this book under the guidance of Hanuman. Ramayan is a union of bhakti, Gyan, Vairagya and society. It has beautiful couplets which are sung to a beautiful rhythm. Bandon Guru Pad Kanj, Kripa Sindhu Nar Roop Hari, Man Moha Tam Punj, Jasu Bachan Rabi Karnikar. This pad written by Goswami Tulsidas has been extracted from the Bal Kand of Ramcharitmanas. The poet describes Guru Mahima, or the glory of the Guru. Another important book written by Sant Tulsidas, which has a philosophical base, is Vinay Patrika. This book has couplets of prayer, that is Vinay, to Devis and Devtas. Sant Tulsidas left his mortal body and attained eternal bliss in 1623 AD at the age of 91 at Asighat in Varanasi. Mirabai, मैं तो गिरधर के रंग राती और मेरे तो गिरधर गोपाल दूसरो न कोई. The saint Mirabai was totally colored in the hues of love for Lord Krishna. Mirabai, who was a great poet saint of the age of the great Mughal king Akbar, was of royal blood from the Rajput clan of the Rathors. She was the daughter of Rathor Ratan Singh of Mewar and the great-granddaughter of the famous Jodhaji, who laid the foundation of the city today known as Jodhpur. She was a jewel amongst saints, a Prem Yogini who had sacrificed everything for the Lord. Meera was born in a small village called Chokari in 1573 AD. In her previous birth, she had been a favorite friend Sakhya of Krishna and had taken rebirth only to express the unending divine love for him. From childhood, Meera used to worship the statue of Giridhar Lal, assuming it to be her husband. Left home, and roamed from temple to temple singing bhajans in his praise. In the end, Meera, submerged in the divine love of Krishna, finally reached Dwarka, where she would dance every day in the temple of Sri Ranchod with ghungroos on her feet and kartals in her hands. The story, however, goes that while dancing in such a manner one day, she sank at the feet of the statue of the Lord and left for her heavenly abode. The gods had opened the doors and accepted her wholeheartedly. Some of Meera's famous compositions are Geet Govind, Tika, Rag Govind, Rag Sortha and Narsi Ji Ka Bhamara. Let us now focus on Nirgun Bhakti saints. Nirgun Bhakti saints regarded God or the Supreme Being as formless, that is, without attributes. They believed that God had to be experienced or realized, which means oneness with the Supreme Being. These saints taught that God is formless. It is very difficult for the human mind to focus its attention on a formless being. Following a living Guru who is spiritually awakened and well versed in spiritual practices and obeying him is the key if one sincerely wishes to realize the Supreme Being. Sant Kabir. The first name that crosses one's mind when talking of Nirgun Bhakti saints is that of Kabir Sahib. He was also called the Adi Sant. He was the eternal messenger of the Satya Purush and wanted to pull mankind out of the net of Kal. Kabir Sahib is also called the Adi Sant of the Sant Mat, that is the religion of saints, since the line of Gurus in what is traditionally called Sant Mat starts with him. He was also the first saint to reveal the name Radha Swami as the name of the Supreme Being. He came to this world when Hinduism was immersed in ritualism and superstition, and at the same time Muslim rulers had established their hold over India. He taught equality of Hindus and Muslims, equality amongst all castes, and the importance of a spiritual guru to learn the path to salvation. He stressed that the spirit in man is of the same essence as the Supreme Being. He taught Guru Bhakti through satsang, that is, attending prayer congregation presided by the Guru. He taught seva, that is service to the Guru and mankind, and meditation via the sound practice. Sikhism was also influenced by Sant Kabir. The Guru Granth Sahib, that is the holy book of Sikhs, contains over 500 verses by Sant Kabir. His poems and couplets are widely read and sung to this day. Kabir says he has no fear who has a guru to lead him to the shelter of safety. Sant Kabir speaks with the greatest reverence and prostrates before his guru, who is the master in the spiritual progress of a disciple. He says, it is the guru who reveals the absolute truth and makes one hear the anhad shabd, that is unstruck music. गुरु गोविंद दो खड़े काके लागू पाए बलिहारी गुरु आपने गोविंदियो बताए. He says, Guru is the one who has shown me the path to God. Hence I prostrate before him first. Kabir also emphasizes on satsang of the Guru, seva and surat shabd yoga as the path for salvation, and also realizing the ultimate truth. He says, साधन के सत्संग में रहे निस दिन भीना रे, शब्द में सुरत ऐसे बसे जैसे जल मीना रे। मान मनी को यूं तजे जैसे तेली पीना रे, दया क्षमा संतोष गही रहे अति अधीना रे। परमारथ में देत सिर कछु विलंब न कीना रे, कहीं कबीर मत भक्ति का परगट कह दीना रे। Sant Kabir conveys to the masses that the Surat Shabd Marg is the only way to attain the divine revelation of Satpurush. In this extract, he defines the path of bhakti and states that the true path of devotion is very subtle. It may be compared to a loosely knitted garment. The human body is the garment of the soul that does bhakti. However, the loose garment of the human body gets entangled in Maya and becomes impure. The path is said to be difficult because only when the bodily desires and mind are suppressed and controlled that one is able to move forward on this path. To understand Sant Kabir's appeal, it is necessary to understand the background of his times. For centuries before his birth, a succession of Muslim invaders had attacked India. People were massacred, women and girls carried away, cities razed to the ground. Non-Muslims were forced to convert to Islam, as earlier told, or they were forced to pay the heavy tax called jizya. Even though the Mughal rule weakened during Sant Kabir's time and Hinduism flourished, but the religious leaders, instead of giving solace to the frightened people, thrust them more into superstition and irrelevant practices. People submitted to this out of fear and a desire for salvation. Life of Sant Kabir. It is said that Kabir Sahib was born in 1440 AD. According to a legend, a disciple of Ramanand, the saint who later became Kabir Sahib's guru, saw a strange light come down at Leher Talao, near Banaras, now Varanasi. He told Ramanand about this and was told that a great saint was born. Neeru, a Muslim weaver who was at that moment walking by the lake, saw the beautiful child floating on a lotus leaf and suggested to his wife, Nima, that they adopt the child as they had no children. This baby, which they brought up as their own child, was named Kabir. Many legends of Kabir's childhood are prevalent even today. At the age of 5, Kabir Sahib began to sing divine songs and to utter the holy names Ram Ram and Hari Hari. When the Muslims called him kafir or non-believer, he told them to look at their own disbelief in Allah. When the Brahmins reproached him for following the Muslim faith, he said that his tongue was Vishnu, his eyes were Narayan, and in his heart dwelt Govinda. Sant Kabir had strong spiritual tendencies and a generous heart ever since youth. As a child, he was spiritually inclined, and as he grew up into a young man, he became more spiritually inclined. He would suddenly stop all work to sit in meditation, which meant a loss of precious working hours. Sant Kabir led a householder's life. He is said to have married Loe, who later became his disciple. Loe was the adopted daughter of Bairagi, who had found her on a river bank. Kabir Sahib is said to have two adopted children, Kamal and Kamali. Kabir Sahib's Guru. Kabir Sahib shows great respect for the Guru or Master who helps the spiritual progress of a disciple. He asserts, if the Lord and the Guru stand in front of us, both at the same time, at whose feet should we prostrate ourselves? He falls at the feet of the Guru who has shown us the Lord, whom we would not have known without the Guru's grace. Ramanand, his Guru, was a Vaishnavite Brahmin, ascetic who lived in Banaras about the same time as Kabir Sahib. Since Kabir Sahib was a non-Hindu, there was no chance of his being accepted as the Guru's disciple. So he lay on the steps that led down to the banks of the Ganges. Early next morning, as the Guru was coming down to bathe, his foot fell on the sleeping Kabir Sahib. As a reflex, Ramanand called out Ram Ram, which was actually the mantra he gave to his disciples at the time of initiation. From the next day, Kabir Sahib began to attend the Guru's discourses, saying that he had been initiated by the Guru himself. In this way, he became Ramanand's disciple. Kabir reached the highest stage of spiritual progress soon after receiving initiation from his Guru. Making no secret of his spiritual position, Kabir Sahib has written in one of his poems that he has been coming to this earth and taking souls back to the Lord for ages. Kabir Sahib's mystic teachings began to have an impact on Ramanand. And later in his life, it is said that Ramanand became Kabir Sahib's disciple. Disciples of Kabir Sahib. Two famous disciples of Kabir Sahib were Dharamdas and Ibrahim ibn Adham, the king of Bukhara. Dharamdas, who was a staunch devotee of idol worship, underwent a total transformation on becoming Kabir Sahib's disciple. Teachings of Sant Kabir. The core of the teachings of Kabir Sahib is the worship of the name of the Lord. The word or name is omnipresent and omnipotent. It existed before creation. The only elixir or ambrosia of life is the name of God or the Shabd. Truth refers to the word or name because it has always existed and will never change. It gives them immortality because it takes them beyond the wheel of birth and death. Freedom from rebirth can be attained only through initiation and guidance of a true master. According to Kabir Sahib's mysticism, the science of searching for God within one's own body. He also insisted that without initiation and guidance of a true guru or adept or master, no one can ever find freedom from the cycle of birth and death or attain salvation. The cardinal teaching of Kabir is that God and Guru are one, and the Lord comes to the earth in human form to take souls back to their original home. One must do their mystic practice while discharging the karmas. Contribution of Kabir Panth to humanity. The teachings of Kabir lay stress on equality of all mankind. It emphasizes on the brotherhood of man. It lays importance on values like truth, non-violence, satisfaction, tolerance, love, good behavior and welfare of others. It accepts bhakti while living a domestic life. Teaches Guru Bhakti through Surat Shabd Yog, or meditation in which concentration of attention is unified with a mystical sound, like Om, Soham and Radha Swami, at the certain nerve centers within the brain. And he also emphasized on Seva and Satsang. Kabir Panth defines man as a microcosm of the macrocosm universe, allows people of different religions to practice their own religion, encouraged socialism, which ignited the spark of independence, stands like a divine pillar of spirituality today. Sant Mat has awakened the intellect of common masses, encouraged people to rebel against evil social norms. Sant Kabir Panth has given us pathfinders and visionaries. Kabir Sahab was an oral poet whose works were written down by others. His oral traditions have flourished for more than 500 years, producing a rich array of musical forms, folk and classical, in countless local dialects and regional styles. The Bijak is the sacred book of the Kabir Panth, devoted to Kabir Sahab's teachings. The Bijak includes 3 main sections called Ramayani, Shabd and Sakhi, and a 4th section containing miscellaneous folk song forms. Sant Namdev, another Nirgun Bhakti saint. Sant Namdev is one of the earlier North Indian saints whose compositions are available to us. He was the saint of Maharashtra and by profession a tailor. According to one of his abhangas, he was born in Maharashtra in 1270 AD. His father's name was Damaset and his mother was Gunai. He was born in a village called Narsi Bamni, and from childhood he showed great interest towards religion. By birth he was a Vitthal Bhakt. His childhood antics clearly showed that this was no ordinary child. Sant Namdev wrote much of this poetry in Hindi and Marathi. He was also the propagator saint of the Barkari Sampradaya, spreading and propagating his faith from Punjab to the whole of North India. He made a creditable effort to bring together the Sagun and Nirgun Sampradayas and also to enjoin the Hindu and Muslim faiths. Sant Namdev's collection of Hindi poetry is present in the Granth Sahib. In his youth, he was a Sagun Bhakt, but later he became a Nirgun Upasak because of the influence of Nirgun Panth. He spent nearly 50 years of his life touring the north of India and finally settled in the Gurdaspur district of Punjab. He spent the next 18 years in Ghuman, as the village was called, in meditation and singing hymns, also teaching people the importance of Shabdamar. He left behind his mortal body and ascended to his heavenly abode in 1350 AD. Sant Namdev spread his devotional, spiritual and philosophical ideas to the masses through the medium of a Kirtan Sanstha that he had established. He was therefore called Kutumb Kavi because his Kirtans had a great impact on people and large families began to devote time to Kirtan. He gave the message of true devotion to God. This made him a very popular poet, saint. He had several Punjabi students as his disciples. Sant Namdev must also be given credit for the teaching he did to North Indians, that is, of Ishwarvad, and removing narrowness of casteism. His works exhibit the Nirgun form of Brahma, Advaitvad, meditation of the holy name, emotions of the servant for his master, reforms of society and mysticism. Traces of Hatha Yoga are also found in his poetry. Sant Namdev holds an important place in the progress of the Bhakti movement. We now come to next saint, that is Paltu Sahab. The revered Satguru of Paltu Sahab gave him the name Paltu. On being initiated by his Guru and after attaining the word or naam from him, Paltu's spirit and tendencies turned completely inwards towards the spiritual regions. His Guru was so pleased to see this and remarked, "Ye to Paltu ban gaya," meaning that this man has turned around completely. Since then, Paltu became known by this name, and people never came to know his real name. Paltu Sahab's brother became famous by the name of Paltu Prasad and wrote a book called Bhajanamali, which clarifies many aspects of Paltu Sahab's life. From the book it appears that Paltu Sahab was born in a village near Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh. He was born into a Baniya family. Paltu Sahab and Surat Shabd Marg. Other writers state his date of birth to be 1710 AD, although there are differences of opinion regarding this. Paltu Sahab got the name from Sant Gobind Sahab and reached the ultimate truth. This appears to be true because Paltu Sahab has taken the name of his Sadguru at several places in his poetry. To attain such spiritual heights and true bhakti of Sadguru, Paltu Sahab had to conquer his mind. Describing this battle, he states that each one has to fight this battle to walk on the path of Surat Shabd Marg, because the mind flits from one thing to another. One moment it wants to attain God, and the next moment it is looking for materialistic pleasures. So the only way to elude this dangerous mind is to take refuge in the Sadguru's feet. Early in life, Paltu Sahab was proclaimed a Sadguru himself. People came from afar to attend his satsang. He showed impartial love towards people of all religions and castes. In one of his works, he has said that the Muslims and Hindus are my seasonal crops of Rabi and Kharif. They are both my assets and given gifts by the Supreme Lord. Paltu Sahab believed that he was a flower in the garden of the Lord, and his mission was to remove differences of caste and religion and teach people that only humility and true bhakti can help one to meet the Lord. He gave examples of great saints who were born into low caste families. Paltu Sahab was a householder, yet a Mahatma. He was married and also had children. He was a businessman, but he earned an honest living, controlled his desires, and was never overtaken by avarice. He served people without desire for personal gains. He said that the saints had the wealth of Sat Nam, after getting which there is no need for other wealth. They are truly satisfied and have no desire for worldly possessions. Saints live only on their own earnings and preach only what they have experienced themselves. They are undifferentiated from the Paramatma and reside in the regions beyond the three gunas, five tattva, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Man and Maya. They are not separated from the Paramatma. At any moment, they are perceived form of the esoteric Lord. Paltu Sahab explained to people the worthlessness of idol worship and going on pilgrimages, saying that the word or naam cleanses the people of their sins and helps one to attain the Lord. He revolted against casteism, idol worship, and criticized the ritualistic Pandits and Brahmins. The result was that Paltu became the enemy of the Purohit or the priestly class of all religions. But young and old, all became his devout followers. By repeating the name as taught, the people were getting freed from the influence of the three gunas and were following the path of true renunciation. The Purohit or priestly class and even businessmen could not tolerate his popularity. They tried to harm him in many ways. One day, they set fire to his hut and burnt Paltu Sahab. It is said that Paltu Sahab died in 1780 AD. Paltu Sahab's works. Kyun tu phire bhulani? Why do you go about crying, O Lord, when the Lord is so nigh unto thee? Paltu Sahab here, in storming the body fortress, Kundali 258 describes the radical change that comes in a disciple after he has vanquished the evil forces within him. And this has been made possible only with the help of the Master. Ye to ghar hai prem ka. This is the abode of love, not the home of thy aunt. Ye to ghar hai prem ka, khala ka ghar nahi. He wrote many forms of poetry and through his works had all the qualities of good poetry. Their real importance was in the spiritual message they conveyed. He wrote in simple and powerful manner, conveying his teachings to the masses so that common man and intellectuals could understand his teachings. His famous works were Kakahara and Baramasa. These were very popular as they were sung. He also wrote poetry called Ulat Pasi, which appears to be useless and wrong but actually explains esoteric truths. Each word of Paltu Sahab's poetry is invaluable. Each poem is full of mystic and emotion. Let us now see Jagjeevan Sahab's history. Jagjeevan Sahab was a Kshatriya by caste and was born in a village near Barabanki in Uttar Pradesh. His birth took place in the beginning of the 18th century. Father John Thomas's writings verify this and state that Jagjeevan Sahab organized the Satnami faith and wrote an epic called Gyan Prakash around 1761. As a boy, Jagjeevan Sahab used to help his father, who was a farmer. But early in his youth, he renounced worldly activities and turned towards religion and the company of sadhus. One day, a realized saint, Bulla Sahab, came with a Mahatma, Govind Sahab, who was Paltu Sahab's guru, to where his cattle were grazing grass and asked Jagjeevan for some fire to light his hookah. Jagjeevan promptly ran home and brought back some fire and milk for them to drink, although he was afraid of being scolded by his father for stealing the milk. Noticing his fears, the saints comforted him, saying that the quantity of the milk in his house would increase because he had fed it to saints. Amazed, Jagjivan returned home to find the utensil filled to the brim with boiling milk. Jagjivan Sahab ran back after the saints and requested them to initiate him by giving him the Guru Mantra and making him their disciple. Bulla Sahab replied that it was not essential to perform the ritual of whispering the mantra into his ear. He cast his merciful drishti on Jagjivan Sahab. And from that moment, the latter was filled with love and longing for the Lord. Bulla Sahab then clarified that they had only come to make Jagjivan Sahab aware that he was a great practitioner in his previous birth, and with a little more effort in this life, his deliverance would be complete and he would complete his yoga. Jagjivan Sahab prayed that they give him some sign of their remembrance. Then both Bulla Sahab and Govind Sahab broke off a thread from their hookahs. Bulla Sahab a black one and Govind Sahab gave him a white one and tied it on the right wrist of Jagjivan Sahab. The Jagjivan Panthis, who are called Satnamis, continue to perform this ritual, and this black and white thread is called Andu. After this, Jagjivan Sahab gave up all thoughts of body and mind and got engrossed in meditation, spiritual practices and devotion, abhyas and bhakti. People began to come from afar to have his darshan and hear his teachings. The villagers became jealous of his popularity and began to trouble him in every possible manner. To become free of these people, Jagjivan Sahab left his village Sardaha and began to live in Kotwa. It is said that soon after he left, the Sardaha village was swept away by the flooded Sarju river. Jagjivan Sahab left for his heavenly abode around 1768. His teachings were invaluable, immersed in humility, insight and love. Studying his teachings fills the heart with love and devotion. His Bani is as soft and humble as that of his Guru Bulla Sahab. Jagjivan Sahab spoke of the advantages of vegetarianism. His Panthis, however, are averse to brinjals. There is a story behind it. Let's go on to Jagjivan Sahab's works. Jagjivan Sahab compiled several works such as Shabd Sagar, Gyan Prakash and Mahapralay. Shabd Sagar is a very interesting epic written in two parts. Gyan Prakash is said to impart esoteric knowledge in the form of a dialogue between Mahadev and Parvati. Mahapralay is about the true Bhakt who lives amidst all yet remains detached, is neither born nor dies, is not affected by joys or sorrows, justice or injustice. Tulsi Sahab, the saint of Hathras. Tulsi Sahab voluntarily renounced princely heritage and adopted a life devoted to spiritual pursuits, lending a romantic interest to his life story. Ye tan durlabh dev ko. The human form is a rare privilege to be endowed with. The human form for which even gods and angels pine. It is only in human form, emphasizes Tulsi Sahab, that deliverance from the cycle of birth and death can be obtained. Chale jaat nar bhool. This piece emphasizes the role of the spiritual master. Without the help of a spiritual guide, man would continue to stumble in ignorance. the mystery of the universe cannot be unraveled. दिल का हुजरा साफ कर जाना के आने के लिए. The account of Tulsi Sahib's life is based on his various works. According to Tulsi Sahib's Ratan Sagar, 1909, he came from a noble Brahmin family. In Ghat Ramayana, 1911, the biographical note says that he was born in 1763 AD. He was the eldest son of the Peshwa of Pune. His name was Swraup. He was married at an early age to a girl called Lakshmi Bai, much against his wishes. He had one son through marriage. Swraup wandered for many years in forests, mountains, towns and cities, and finally settled in Hathras. Here he came to be called Tulsi Sahib. Since he came from the south, he was popularly known as Dakhni Baba, which means sage from the south. Tulsi Sahib and Sant Mat. In Sant Mat, or the religion of saints, a master is essential for a disciple and also indispensable all through his spiritual journey. Tulsi Sahib always stressed the need for a master in his works, for he said, without the guidance of a perfect master, no one can ever get release from bondage, be it God, man, or a sage. By his writings, he attracted a large number of followers and disciples from among the high caste Brahmins as well as the low caste Shudras. Among his disciples were Seth Dilwali Singh of Agra and his wife Mahamaya, his mother, mother-in-law and sister. Tulsi Sahib came to visit these disciples and stayed on their home in Panni Gali, Agra, and held satsang there. On one such visit, Sant Tulsi Sahib once told the mother of Swamiji Maharaj that a Param Sant had incarnated in her family in the person of Swamiji Maharaj, and that she should not treat him merely as her son. Hence, his parents began to look upon him with reverence. Tulsi Sahib's explanation to Muslims and to scholars of Vedas. To Muslims, he explained that the human body is the real mosque where the Khuda lives. The way to meet him is through the third eye, the kun, the word, or the sound current, which is got only through a perfect adept, can unravel the mystery of creation. To the learned scholars of the Vedas, Tulsi Sahib explained that the teachings of Sant Mat were beyond the reach of Vedas and Puranas. It is not external observances but God realization that leads to true renunciation. He explained the path given by Kabir and said that the method of Sant Mat has always been the same. Tulsi Sahib explained that all gods worshipped are within the bounds of law of karma. The scriptures promise salvation after death. Salvation is of true value if it is attained now while living. The true path is that which offers salvation while living. The saints come to emancipate sinners, not to kill them. Tulsi Sahib emphasized the importance of controlling worldly desires in order to attain salvation. He said desires led to actions, which is the cause of transmigration of soul. Therefore, one must break the cycle of karmas to be free from the cycle of births and deaths. This can only be done only in human form. So the human birth must not be wasted. Tulsi Sahib's teaching of spiritual practice. Tulsi Sahib stressed the necessity of withdrawing consciousness from the 9 portals of the body and bringing it to the 10th portal or the eye center. Entering through this door with the grace and company of the Master is like dying while living. Gyaneshwar Sahab. Gyaneshwar Sahab has been a source of inspiration to the saint poets of Maharashtra, a philosopher, a yoga master, and the enlightened one. Yet he lived for only 26 years. By the grace of the Almighty, he was born in the home of a Vitthal Panthi on the banks of the river Godavari. He had 2 brothers and 1 sister. Gyaneshwar Sahab assured the Dalits that even they would attain heaven. He gave this assurance on the basis of the Gita. He wrote a commentary on the Gita in the common tongue and invented Marathi as it is spoken today. The 2 main books that he wrote are the Gyaneshwari and the Amrita Num Bhava. The first is the commentary on the Gita. Amrita Num Bhava means the experience of ambrosia. It is an outpouring of devotion to the God. Gyaneshwar Sahab had a highly philosophic mind. Raidas Sahab. The biography of Raidas Sahab is shrouded in mystery. Sources of information about his life are his own poems and works of his contemporaries, as well as historical personages who have come into his contact. It is said that Raidas Sahab was probably born around 1414. His own verses give indication of his birth. O fellow gentry, I am renowned as belonging to the caste of cobblers. My sub-caste is Kuta Bandhala, and men of my caste still carry dead cattle in the outskirts of Benares. Raidas Sahab was content with this also. He carried on the ancestral profession of a cobbler for a living, but he used only leather of dead animals. Ravidas Sahab once tore open the skin of his chest and showed the Brahmins his gold-like shining sacred thread, his inner light. They were blinded and astonished by this. This was the last people saw of Raidas Sahab. He disappeared thereafter from the world, leaving behind only his footprints, which are preserved at Chittor. However, some believe that this is not true, and Ravidas Sahab lived his last years at Varanasi, dying a natural death in 1540 at 126 years of age. Raidas Sahab, although from a low caste, preached his message fearlessly to all. The impact of this on the ritual-oriented and class-ridden society was that all contemporaries began to revere him. He is respectfully referred to as a saint along with Kabir, Nanak, Dadu, Tukaram, Paltu and others. Dadu Dayal Sahab. Dadu Sahab was born in 1544 in the Jaipur region of Rajasthan. Dadu Sahab's father's name was Lodhi Ram Nagar and his mother's name was Vasi. He was found floating on lotus leaves on the Sabarmati river. His name had the meaning, brother, the compassionate one. He was called Dadu, the giver, as he had a habit of giving away his belongings. Dadu Sahab was born in a poor artisan home and was a carter by profession. His wife's name was Hawa, and he had 2 sons and 2 daughters. Dadu Sahab's guru was Brahmanand, whom he first met at the age of 11, when the guru placed his hand on his head and blessed him. 7 years later, a turning point came into his life, and the guru told him to visit different places and impart esoteric wisdom to devout persons. His entire life thereafter was spent in practicing intensive meditation and wandering from place to place, increasing disciples. His group of followers fondly called him Dadu Sahab, and soon his teachings were collectively called Dadu Panth. The organization collected songs of other North Indian saints as well. Dadu Sahab's poetry was recorded by his follower Rajab, while Janagopal wrote his biography. Dadu Sahab had a good knowledge of Gujarati, Persian and Sanskrit. but the grandeur and appeal of his poetry is due to the inner spiritual experience from which his words flowed. The essence of his teachings was that human life provides the only opportunity to escape the cycle of births and deaths. It is a priceless gift offered for God realization and is totally wasted if one fails to accomplish this basic purpose. God lives within us. It is the mind or ego which separates God from the self. Therefore, the mind should be controlled through devotion to Naam. This can be obtained only from a perfect living master. By practicing his teachings and living accordingly, one is united with God. The entire creation of God, encompassing many regions of splendor, are within man himself, and only with the help of a living perfect master can man see them within himself and know the secret of how the macrocosm is contained within the microcosm. All rituals are perversions of true inner spiritual practices. Bantu Sahab, Jagjeevan Sahab and Tulsi Sahab are considered saints in the Bhakti tradition. Although they were born after Kabir Sahab's departure, they maintained the Bhakti tradition of saints and presented a living example of leading the life of a householder while working towards spiritual progress. Like Kabir Sahab, they stressed devotion to a living Guru. Tulsi Sahab is said to be the first one to use the term sant to stress the basic unity or commonality of teachings of all the saints. Jagjeevan Sahab spoke of advantages of being a vegetarian. His compositions and teachings were shining examples of humility, insight and love. Guru Nanak and Sikhism. Sikhism has its beginnings at the period of time when fulfillment of individual aspirations harmonized with social and historical circumstances in such a way that a new and distinctive religious doctrine came into being and acquired permanence. The event was the life of Guru Nanak, the founder Guru of the Sikh faith. Guru Nanak is viewed by the Sikhs with a certain mystique as the preacher of the new gospel, the founder of a new faith, and a perfect example of piety and devotion. Though this stops short of worship, for a full understanding of the teachings of Guru Nanak and their profound effect on his followers, it will be of help to see them in the social perspective of 15th century India. Guru Nanak's life and times 1469 to 22/9/1539. Nanak was born on 15th April 1469 at Talwandi in the Sheikhupura Tehsil of Lahore district of West Punjab, which is now in Pakistan, and its name has been changed to Nankana Sahab. Nanak could compose devotional songs extempore with a depth of meaning in the local, regional language and sang them with such intensity that he would go into a trance. He had a melodious voice and he used his songs as Sufis for spreading his religious ideas among the uneducated masses of India. His Muslim friend named Mardana, who was an accomplished rabba player, gave him accompaniment. His attitude towards his life soon changed and he was mostly found deep in meditation or at times crying, saying that his malady was due to separation from the Lord. He married Sulakhani and had two sons, Sri Chand and Lakshmi Chand. Nanak believed that marriage could not interfere with one's spiritual life. Enlightenment of Guru Nanak, fatherhood of God and brotherhood of man. Nanak went to the river for a morning dip every day. One day, when he went for his usual bath, he did not come out of the river. After 3 days, he appeared and after remaining silent for a long time, he said that there was no Hindu or Muslim, and each one must labor to earn and share one's earnings with others. Thus Nanak was enlightened at the age of about 30 in 1500 AD. It was also the time when the intolerable rule of Sikandar Lodi started. Nanak travelled far and wide to spread his gospel. He travelled all over India and to Sri Lanka and across the Himalayas to West Asia. He set up a network of manjis all over India. Teachings of Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak tried to guide the suffering humanity. It was as if Sikh movement revived the degraded spirit of the entire population of caste-ridden and ritualistic Hindus who had lost a sense of direction. The average man was sick of Brahmanical domination on one hand and the treatment by the Mughals and Afghans on the other. Guru Nanak's teachings were a soothing balm for their bruised souls. The basic slok or Mool Mantra of Sikhism is the crux of the Guru's teachings. The sum total of Sikh philosophy is Ek Omkar, that is, one primordial reality. The Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh scripture, starts with Ek Omkar Satnam Karta Purak Nirbhav Nirvaru Akal Murat Ajuni Sai Bhang Gur Parsadi, meaning there is but one God. His name is Eternal Truth. He is the creator of the universe and maker of everything. He is devoid of fear and enmity. He is immortal, unborn and self-existent, and is made known to men by the grace of the Guru or the enlightened. Here we see that first of all, the Guru emphasizes the unity of God. He rejects the idea of many gods, polytheism, as in Hinduism. He believed that one God is the true name or the ultimate truth or the word Shabd. It is formless and nirgun, without qualities, and is neither born nor dies. It is omnipresent and eternal, and it resides in the human heart. Nanak followed a code of conduct which required all to rise early before dawn and repeat his name and meditate on his greatness. This could be done, he said, individually or in a group, sangat, in Gurudwara or at home. By constant Naam Simran, the 5 evils of lust, anger, greed, attachment and pride will be conquered gradually. Then a state of samadhi or bliss is reached. Ajapa Jap becomes a part of the person's mind, and a desire to do good to others becomes stronger. Guru Bani is the soul illuminating, all-powerful sword with which the tensions of day-to-day life may be cut off and everlasting peace attained. Sikhism grew out of the Sant tradition in a general northwest Indian environment of religious variety in a basically Hindu cultural context. Sikh theology possesses coherence unique to the Sant tradition. Its ethics are based upon living as a householder, grihastha, and serving one's fellow men, and its rituals and festivals owe their origin to the men through whom the word of God was revealed. In the social conditions in India, during the 15th century, Guru Nanak's teachings were viewed as a viable alternative, free from dogma that plagued Hinduism. Nanak taught through devotional songs and he travelled to all parts of India. He encouraged followers to lead a householder's life. The primary elements of Sikh philosophy were the belief in one God, equality of all the castes, and service to mankind. Becoming aware that the inner self is a part of God, repetition of the holy name and meditational practices were key elements of the path to salvation.